Greetings and ahoy hoy.
Yes, yes. Oh, do I have? I do. I hear echo.
Is that intentional?
No, it's not.
No.
But now we're normal.
Sounds like it's gone
Yeah, no,
normal.
I was testing out some stuff. I was testing out some chorus and reverb for our little vocal tracks.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
How are you enjoying this lovely filtered smoke?
Yeah, I'm over it.
How are
This
you
came up.
enjoying this lovely filtered smoke?
Yeah, I'm over it. This came up. Well, it came up last year that I feel like ever since the great the great smokening of 2012
Mm-hmm.
that it can and will be that bad again, but it hasn't been that bad since. It's been bad, but not as bad as it was back then. And I feel like just something about going through that initial terrible, like I,
But that was bad. I
it
remember
was
being like,
unbelievable.
I was at like 7-Eleven. I couldn't even see the walking bridge. So it's like
Hmm.
literally 40 feet away, and that's all you could see. It was like Silent Hill. There was just nothing there.
I
You couldn't
remember
see
I remember
no
standing
visibility.
in my yard and looking into the orchard. That's
Hmm.
that lines my yard. I could On the worst day I could count two trees in, and I could not see a hint of that third tree. So,
Wow.
yeah, I kind of use that as a ruler for how bad our air is. Now it's measuring unhealthy at the moment, but I think that's like 155. Last I checked, it was like in the 150s. But when that first year of that 2012 nightmare, the I feel like the chart ends somewhere around like 500. That's where it just peaks off. Anything like over 300, I think, is considered hazardous.
Sure. Sure.
We were off the charts. We were like in the 600s.
Hmm.
They were talking about like comparing it at one point. They changed their mind on this because London fog was a different thing altogether. But at one point, they were comparing it to the toxicity of London fog.
Well, year was that 2012?
Yeah, 2012.
The listeners at home, if you go in Google, just like Wenatchee Valley at 2012 and the fires, anything related to that, there are aerial footages of like it from not from space, but from like I don't know, plane vantage, and it's pretty crazy on where all that smoke went. It went completely right over the top of our little valley, and
Yeah.
just it in. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and you can see some photos. Of course, it's a photo. It's hard to really gauge things like distance. But I remember that year, people were posting photos like going over the bridge here across the Columbia River. And while you were on the bridge, you could not see the end of the bridge. We're talking like a couple hundred feet. So maybe a little more than that, but you could not see shit like right in front of you. So yeah, it's been bad lately, but not as bad as we've had it. And it was like that for weeks. I remember I went over. I don't know if I was going over to Christopher's house or we took a trip over to the west side at one point, and it was all the way. You had to get all the way over the pass before you broke into fresh air, and it was glorious. But the horrible thing was coming back the other way after
Right.
having a couple of days of fresh air and then driving back into the campfire, and it was like it's crazy how quickly you can kind of acclimate to it. And even now,
You
like,
talking about the month of hell?
yeah, 2012, the late summer. It was actually exactly this time of year
Yeah,
because I think it
September.
was right before or right after my birthday that that lightning storm started all these fires, and then we got that low pressure atmosphere that just kept it all. There was no wind. It was just, oh my god, it was awful. It was unfucking bearable.
Yeah, it's, some of the pictures I was talking about. It's basically like the aerial shot of Washington State, and where we live is basically central. You know, we're right in the middle of Washington State. And if you look at the topical, the where you could actually see the vegetation and everything like that, it's just nothing but one just giant blanket right down the middle, and it's just black.
Yeah, and it's funny because it goes like straight up, and then some other wind takes it, and it just like takes a sharp left, like out toward the sea. But yeah, it was like half the state. But it all started right here. But that was lightning. There's some weird shit going on with this, and anyone that checked out mine and Christopher's news desk this week, we talked about it a bit. There have been a lot of grumblings about arson. Now, I suppose simply because we didn't have any lightning, like there's been no thunder, there's been no lightning, there's been no real clouds for a while now, and unfortunately none in the foreseeable future, no rain anyway. So that alone could get you be like, what's fucking causing all these? Why are there as many fires as we usually get when we have like one of these rolling lightning storms that nail the entire West Coast? That's what happened in 2012, and it was a similar thing where we were just surrounded by these fucking fires. 3 people as of tonight, which is Thursday, we're recording this a little bit later than usual. 3 people have been arrested now for starting fires.
It's like an organized group, they think.
I haven't seen any official statement from any official organization saying that this is likely an organized thing, but they are some of them are starting to hint. They're at least looking into it. I think they probably would be no matter what, but we're arresting people now for starting fires. As to whether or not they're part of some terror group, or this is part of some protest, or it's just bandwagon jumpers, it could be all of
it. You grew up here too, for the most part. There were years that we never had fires, and it was just kind of like recently in the last few decades. It was every year, and it seemed to me it was calling to me like there was something up. This
is absolutely new, and it has a lot to do with fucking climate change.
Yeah, we are so much drier. Even the west side is dry. See, that's the crazy thing. Like what we always would get forest fires, but it would be like Lyle said. I grew up in Entiat. Like there was maybe 2 wildfires my entire life, from 0 to like 22. I wasn't in Entiat that long, but there were like a big wildfire was a huge deal back then. Especially it's every fucking summer now. We just expect it. If we only get like 1 or 2, we're lucky.
The thing is it's a $1 million thing. When you have a fire like that, you have firefighters that go out there and fight them. Some people, those guys are fucking, some of them are pretty goddamn crazy. And I always felt like, just in the back of my head, I'm not accusing anybody of doing it. Obviously.
Let's be clear about that.
But there's some people out there that, they need the bread and butter, because when we're doing those runs, they're, 16-hour days.
It's happened.
They'll pay all year
These
round.
Cases have happened where of course we know firefighters sometimes start fires. That happens. Sometimes the government can do things where
I saw fucking Backdraft. I know what's up.
I'm all head full of distrust now because I finally watched all of House of Cards. Now I understand it's fiction, and yet I don't think that it is. I think that
is it. Yeah.
So much of what happens in that crazy ass show, and it is like Game of Thrones, but there's sex and violence, just not over the top like Game of Thrones. Other than that, it is Game of fucking Thrones.
So much of that ran true enough that I had to fucking stop watching that show because I was like, this is like watching the news. I can't fucking do it. It's just too depressing.
It was ahead of a lot of what was to come because I think the show was supposed to take place right after Obama, like the president, and I don't want to be too detailed because there are some spoilers here.
Nah, I've never seen it.
But basically, who was in the White House? House of Cards was the president that took over after Obama left. So now they couldn't have foreseen Trump at that point, or maybe they could, the way these things work. But it's just the convoluted things. It's the scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. It's working under the table across the aisle. And this is nothing new, but there's something about getting those reminders, even if it's coming from fiction, or coming from a book, like when I read Brian Toohey's Disaster Government book. These are all things. Nothing is ever like super mind-blowing in terms of, holy shit, I never thought of it that way. I have thought of it that way. I don't trust anything and anybody. And I don't feel like I'm paranoid. I feel like I understand that this is all a fucking sham. What I don't understand is who is actually pulling the strings, because you can say lobbyists, you can say the corporations, and you can say, some people say the Jeff Bezos of the world, but that only goes so
military
far
industrial complex
to making sense to me, because they can exist outside of that, and they have existed.
It's a
outside
combination of all. It's a combination of all of that. It's a combination of all of that.
I'll tell you, it is.
What is it?
Top men.
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 It is, and more top women.
Men
Equality
and women.
is becoming a thing. There are
True.
top women that are fucking us over now. The ultimate
Well,
in political equality.
Speaking of not trusting people or anything, I just watched a documentary on Netflix. It just came out last night. It's called The Social Dilemma,
Mhm.
And it's about it's all about like basically Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and things like that, and how they have affected our society.
No, 100%.
And it's fucking scary. It's
Yeah.
fucking scary as shit, dude, because
Mm.
like when they started doing these things, they had certain things in their mind. Well, this is just what we're gonna do, and then they didn't really think it through what could happen. And when they started seeing what was happening, the people that had the power to do anything about it, to stop the negative consequences, just like basically ignored it, and we're like, meh, it'll work
Cool.
itself out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're making
let's see how
shitload
it
of money.
turns out.
It'll shake itself out in the wash.
Exactly.
But that's not happening. And it is shaking itself out in the wash. And what's happening, how it's shaking out, is that people are becoming extremely divided because of these things. And I really
isolated.
highly recommend that you guys watch this, because you can directly correlate like the division that you're seeing, not just politically, but
What's it called
societally.
again?
The Social Dilemma.
Social
it's
Dilemma.
on Netflix, and it's like basically interviews with a bunch of people that worked for like Google and Facebook and Twitter,
I was literally
and they're all like, yeah, we didn't have any idea what was coming, and they're all basically like, it's super fucked, and you should be afraid.
I was just thinking about this the other day, and how much social media and like the Inquirer were similar. Like in the 80s, what we had, like you'd go to the newsstand, you go to the store, you get the Inquirer, the famous, Wolf Boy on the cover. That's our social media today. It is odds and ends and just crazy shit that you would normally want to find in the back of a comic.
Oh,
You know,
well, that's
some
a perfect
real
analogy.
stuff, some
That's a
made
perfect-
up.
That's a perfect analogy, Lyle, because
That's
it's like,
the loop
because the
that we-
Inquirer like has the presented like as if it's like a news thing, but it's all just
But it's
completely
not.
made up horseshit.
exactly.
And that's the same thing that's happening on social media. You're getting all this made up horseshit presented to you as if it's facts.
Exactly.
And the people that want to believe certain things, like the algorithms then go, okay, well, here's what you think is real, so we'll just keep feeding you that.
And it's you look up
depends-
anything and you're going to get ads for whatever you're looking up.
Yeah,
it's
exactly. And
cookies.
it's
And
all
news
about,
stories for
Yeah,
whatever,
too.
like John Mark is saying, news stories catered to your specifications. And now think about that in
That's-
terms of like being able to steer a type of narrative. Like, because most people
Exactly.
don't go to news sites. They just don't. They get
Well,
their
that's the
news from
scariest
Twitter
thing.
or Facebook.
That's the scariest thing. It's like if you were in the 80s and you got all your news from the Inquirer, or whatever, some other, weird kind of magazine like that, you would be a fucking nutcase.
Yeah.
The real truth on most people nowadays actually get their news from like Facebook and Twitter and like that.
It's just so rapid, like it's there. It's right fucking
And
there.
it's not even
Like,
necessarily a news story. It could be a meme.
yeah.
A fucking meme that some dipshit in his basement in Toledo, no offense to Toledo or dipshits, well, maybe they can put something up online, and if it goes viral, it's a news story. That's all there is to it. There's a lot about social networking, and of course we've talked quite a bit about it on the show, that is destroying society. But I feel like that part of it, that the bullshit fake news, you thought fucking we had to worry about Fox News and CNN and MSNBC and pundits. You thought we had to worry about them shits with fake news? Facebook doesn't even have to give you a fucking source. They don't even have to give you, I mean, it's not the entity of Facebook necessarily, but just people. Like nobody needs anything now except a picture and a snappy word. What's the thing that I just saw I meant to bring up actually? Oh God, it's on the tip of my tongue. It's just one of these bullshit photos that has been disproven, or it's like a shot from a movie or something, and people keep attributing things to it. Like this woman was captured on film and she's like and it's like, no, that's a scene from a movie, but it keeps getting recycled and people keep swallowing it. It's like, I feel like even in the tabloid, like my grandma would buy the tabloids. I feel like even she was calling bullshit on a lot of what was in the tabloids. I don't feel like enough people are calling bullshit on what they see on Facebook because
they're like, absolutely not.
Oh, this is my narrative. This is my shit. This proves my point. So share, thumbs up, and now 10,000 other people are going to see it because of that one share. I don't care how few friends you have on Facebook. If you're sharing and you're liking, it puts it in front of a whole nother slew of people, and on and on and on it goes. And that is modern news. Think about them shits.
I think we caught it a couple of years ago when like The Onion came out, and you knew the difference between news and satire, right? So you'd have Fox
those
News,
the golden days.
Ish. and then you had the comedic side of, oh, that's fucking funny, it's novice, The Onion, but now it's so jumbled up together, nobody knows. And I distinctly remember private messaging people that were posting shit from the Onion, like, dude, it's not real. It's satire.
Right.
Oh, sorry, man. It's like, no, you need to just like, it's cool to keep it for an entertainment value. You know what I mean? It's the same thing like with the Inquirer thing, It's great for the entertainment value of it, but you should never take any of it for real. You know what I mean?
With a few exceptions, the Onion, at least to me, and I think to most people, was clearly satire. What we've had pop up that I didn't foresee in the last 10 years or so are these quote unquote satire sites that aren't really satire. They're straight up made up stories, but they get away with it by saying we're a satire site. Okay, but you're not joking. And I know you're either trying to sell a shit ton of advertising, which you're doing. One Google AdSense on the page that gets 1 million views is paying somebody's rent. And on and on and on and on that goes. But also it's an easy way to put out some sort of agenda. Disinformation or misinformation can go out that way too. And this is all funneled under, again, quote unquote, satire. It's mad. Like, what are you even doing? You are just putting out bullshit stories that makes what Hearst was doing back in the 30s and 40s look legitimate, because at least he had to sometimes find like a nugget of truth. We don't have to do that anymore. There doesn't have to be even a seed that grew into a tree of lies like you used to do with yellow journalism. Now you just Photoshop, just find a picture and put some text on it.
With dudes that run sites like that they say that they're like satire or whatever, but they're really not. They just like make shit up, and it's like, it's really hard to find. There might be one sentence in it that would make you think, oh, this is not, you know what I mean? But, and they're just like, they just don't give a shit. They're just like, yeah, we're just making a bunch of money. We don't care.
Yep.
And
it goes back to that same old thing that I always wonder about people who, whether you're, selling out an entire country by selling them nukes, or just writing bullshit stories that could lead to whatever it leads to. Like, what could you possibly buy that you're going to enjoy so much that it erases every shred of humanity inside you that allows you to live with it? I'll never understand that. They can't all be sociopaths. I think we're creating a new path, a new something path, right? Somewhere between psychopath, sociopath, narcissist. We're creating something new. Do they tap into any of that in that movie you were talking about, John Mark. For some reason, I cannot retain the name of it.
The Social Dilemma.
Social Dilemma. Yeah, do they tap into how it's
I-
changing our our psyche?
They do actually. But not like necessarily from the direction that you were coming at it from just now, but
No.
but they definitely do tap into how it's changing the way
Well, it's
people actually think, not just interact with each other, but actually how their
Exactly.
brain works.
that's the thing is it's an extremely dangerous weapon because you're giving everybody in the world a fucking voice, and not everybody needs to beat them.
No,
what I
almost
mean?
nobody, I find.
Yeah.
Almost
So it's
nobody
like-
needs their voice heard, right? Like, what do people have to say? We used
got
to
a lot-
have your editorials, and then you had your reporters, and then you had your what do they call it? Commentators. Between the three of those, there was a time when there was they were household names because we had so few of them. Now, I'm not saying that that's better than everyone being able to express their opinion. I do like people being able to be heard and express their opinion. Start a blog, start a zine, get your shit out there, YouTube channel, whatever. I like all that. But once you dig into enough of that, you realize that there aren't many people that have anything to say. It's just noise. And then you get people with delusions of grandeur. They're like, I'm going to be the next whatever. I'm going to be the next
That's what you're doing.
gamer. I'm going to be the next political pundit. I'm going to be the next politician, whatever it is. But they're doing it from the wrong reason. Like, they're not doing it because they're passionate and they have something that they believe in and they want to usher out into the world. They do it because they want the glory of it. And I really think that starting with MySpace, going into Facebook, Twitter, definitely Twitter to some degree, and Instagram, this idea of I can be famous just to be famous. I still feel like, I know it's going back a while at this point, but I still feel like it's relatively new because you used to have a plan to get famous, right? Like, getting famous wasn't the plan. You had a plan, quote unquote, to be a rock star or to become a famous model or to be an actor or, to be a pro footballer. You had plans to do a thing. Once becoming famous became its own plan. Don't you think that all kind of ties into the same era, like the Kardashians, Paris Hilton? That was
Exactly.
probably all about the same time that MySpace was breaking, and you could get a YouTube account or something, a blog probably before YouTube, and just start running your shit up a flagpole and seeing who salutes it.
Yeah.
Side note, did you hear the Kardashians are finally going off the air after fucking, I think it's 20 seasons of television?
Is it 20? Well, that's about right.
20
Yeah.
seasons.
2000.
15 years, because they don't do one season a year because they're horse. But
Good.
I really feel that was a pivotal moment in the downfall of society.
That's where we went wrong.
Yeah.
It feels like it. It's definitely a place where we started. I know I sound like old man Evans when I talk like this, but I do believe that young people looking up to these people as role models it's alarming. It's alarming in a different way that our parents were alarmed that we looked to, Iron Maiden or, heavy metal rock stars or, kooky actors that are in
they're
those
heroes.
spooky movies
They're-
that we looked up to
Yeah.
them. They worried about that. Like, that's your fucking hero.
Exactly.
But they were working. Those people were going out and doing things. I can't say that the Kardashians didn't work, but their shtick was famous for the sake of being famous. And it was just, what are they doing? What was that show? It was like, we're going out to a club and then there's going to be drama and someone's going to flip a table. Or
Dude,
They
I
were just-
watched literally 45 seconds of one episode of that show, and I was like, "What the fuck? I'm dumber right now. Fucking turn this off."
yeah.
Mhm.
At the same
I
time,
think Chris has got it nailed at the point because it's a lot of that, and nobody has any heroes anymore. You know, when we were kids, we always had heroes. You know, our cops were heroes.
I got you, Lyle.
You know, you'd be going through the neighborhood, you'd wave to your neighborhood cop. You know, or
Yeah, we
whatever.
had one cop.
It's now it's like
Pennsylvania.
Cops were never my heroes. I'll just state that right now.
You know,
They
what
weren't
I
by
mean?
the time I became a skateboarder.
Well,
Yeah.
but you know, in
Everything's all
essence, like
upside
that. Now it's all changed. You know, now you want to be like that rapper. You know, you want to be like.
I did
so-
like that show Adam 12 though.
Adam 12.
All
Yeah,
right,
you want to
real
be
quick.
dickheads because that's what your heroes are dickheads. So if I'm a dickhead and I film myself being a dickhead, am I going to be famous? I guess a lot of people will think that way. Yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of heroes and shows, and maybe turning this around to an uplifting topic,
Hmm.
who's watched Cobra Kai for fuck's sake?
Oh, I remember talking about that on the show. I got through the first 2 episodes and then I just got busy, but I loved what they
I watched
did with the
episode
premise.
1.
It's just I watched 4 episodes back to back last night, and
Episode
I
one's
had a
enough to
day.
give you the premise. I hope they stick with it.
Yeah, it just gets better though. It just it keeps growing. You're like, are they gonna do this? Is this where this is going?
Mhm.
And I was smiling so hard for 4 fucking hours or 3 hours. It was great, man. I went to bed feeling wonderful. I highly recommend checking the show out. Your child of the '80s, if you like Karate Kid, it's just good feeling.
Yeah, that was a
good.
YouTube exclusive, and I don't think it was doing great on YouTube, but now
Well,
it's on
I've heard
Netflix.
that. Now,
That's where it got all its buzz.
I heard
Yeah,
that
that's
it.
where I
Okay,
saw it.
I heard that Ralph Macchio and the guy that plays Johnny are their executive producers, and I don't know if they're involved with the writing of it, but it was pitched to Netflix initially, as I understand it, and they said, "Nah, we're gonna pass." So they went to YouTube and made it, and it was good. But who wants to fucking make a YouTube premium account? I don't know anyone that does that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's smart of them to shop it after or sell it or however the business deal went down, because now it's fucking everywhere and it's so good.
How many seasons are they at right now?
There's 2 complete seasons on
good.
Netflix right now.
Are you guys like me where someone will tell you got to check out this show? If I go and see that they're only like 1 season into it, I almost never watch it because shit gets canceled a lot. We don't talk about all the shows the shows on Netflix that are great that just get canceled.
Well,
they go away. I don't want to get into something
depends,
unless
though.
there's a good chunk of meat to bite into.
Well, it depends though, because there's some shows that are just like, we're just doing 1 season. You know what I mean?
No.
And if they tell a complete story in just 1 season, then that's great. Like I watched this anime, I don't know, last year or something. Was it 20 years ago? I don't know.
John Mark gets pronounced
but
a
it was-
nime. It's embarrassing. for you.
Okay.
That's
But it was only 1 season, but it told a complete, like most animes are like fucking like 20 seasons or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
But this one was only 1 season. It told a complete story. The animation was amazing. The story was like, you know what I mean? It was just like, it really hit you in the feels. It was just
They're good. They're always
crazy.
fast paced.
But it was just one of those, it's kind of like one of those 1 in a million. You got to sift through a bunch of chaff, you know, to find like the diamond or whatever.
For sure.
Chris
Yeah.
knows that's how Chris watches
Also
TV in his
travel, too.
bedroom.
It's
Mhm. Got a lot of
Mhm.
chaff to get through.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait,
a
that's
lot.
chap.
Well, what are we talking about here?
Well, what we're talking about tonight
Where did we go?
eventually is going to be, and I'm giving you all a quiz on animal
Great.
sounds. This one's going to be a little tricky, but it'll be fun and educational. So that's where we're going to Venge. But I like where we started, I like where we're at.
Yeah. I get
Can I-
I get watcher's remorse a lot, and what I'll do is I'll power through a season.
Watcher's remorse.
Well, then it's gone.
Well, I
It's the same
can't
thing with
unsee
Game of
that.
Thrones. No, it's like Game of Thrones. You watch the first season, then you got to wait a whole year until you get back to it.
Oh, well,
And then
that's
these-
that.
Where's the
Yeah,
remorse?
not
Rewatch
remorse.
it.
That's, I suppose, yeah, depression. Watchers, well, listen, it's like
I
when you
get,
finish
what
a
the
good
fuck is
book.
going on? Do I have to watch this whole season again? Who has time for that? Fuck this shit.
Well, exactly. And for me, sometimes I like to let a whole program brew for a little bit. You're like 3 seasons in, that way I can power watch it.
That's what I'm
And get
saying.
free.
That's what I'm saying. Like when I first discovered, I knew of Breaking Bad, but when I really got into diving into it, it was the year of the finale, and it was amazing because I started that summer at episode 1, and by the time I caught up, it was the season premiere of the final season. It was like one of the most. Sarah did that with Game of Thrones. I'd seen it, of course, by then all the way through.
I'm so
but
sorry.
what's that?
I said I'm so sorry.
I
Just the
still have
last season kind of sucks.
You know, I'm gonna have to go see it again because I don't remember being super thrilled with the last season of Game of Thrones, but I also don't remember hating it as much as most people seem to.
It wasn't the worst, but it was a definite drop in quality. Like it's just sort of
It was
like
just rushed. It was just rushed.
yeah.
Well, that's
I mean,
exactly
like-
how I feel about the final season of House of Cards, by the way. Just a heads up for anyone busting through it. There's no way around it. You miss Kevin Spacey. You know, we were also bummed about the Kevin Spacey thing. Well, we should all be bummed about rape tales anytime. But when it's someone that you really respect as an artist and you want to follow their work, and they're in the middle of a show that was really popular, it's fair to say that is a separate bummer. Like that's just another part of the overall bummer equation. And you do fucking miss the dude, but it also felt really rushed. It wasn't even a complete season. It was like 8 episodes as opposed to 13 or 14, which they usually did. But I'll go back and watch. This would be the 3rd time all the way through Game of Thrones. I don't know if I'm prepared to do that anytime soon, but I will. But I just don't remember it being... Yeah, one way or the other, I guess. Maybe that's the problem. Like it should have blown you away. How does that happen? How did you get that far into a show?
I can tell you. Are we still talking Game of Thrones? Sorry.
Yeah.
I think what happened was this is my
very specific things. Yes, please proceed, Chris.
I think exactly what
Chris,
happened was
I want you to go
creators. Okay, guys, I think exactly what happened was the fucking creators of Game of Thrones got offered a Star Wars deal, and they were gonna helm a trilogy for Star Wars. It was in the news, and they were like, "Fuck, we got to wrap up this Game of Thrones shit." You know what I mean? Like, how can you turn that down?
I don't know
And
what you're
so-
talking about.
Doing a
This.
whole nother
Doesn't mean we didn't,
prequel to the game.
They got
Well-
hired. They were. I mean, am I wrong? I think that's exactly what happened.
Well, the other factor that plays into it is that they had passed the books that were written. So
Yeah.
they had to kind of like, I'm sure that they collaborated.
Well,
with
yeah, but that was true with the
Martin
last few
on the stuff, but it was like
seasons.
they had passed where the books were, so it was like they didn't
Molded
have
it.
like it's one thing to make a good script from a book that's already written, but it's another thing to like kind of like go, all right, where's the plot go, George? What should we do now? You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
a whole different story. So I think the combination of that the books were done at that point, like he hadn't written any more, and what Chris is saying that like, oh shit, we gotta let's get this going so we can go do Star Wars. I think those two things in combination were probably like, yep.
I don't
What?
remember the Star
So-
Wars thing, but you know what's an
the
interesting
real pitch of it is
thought
they.
is if ever there was an era where this kind of thing could happen, we could, even maybe on HBO with the original cast, who knows, we could possibly get the George R.R. Martin final cut where he's like, he finishes the book and then we go back and we
It's possible.
I can totally see that
You know,
happening. Anything's possible that these days.
They're making a prequel. That's already acknowledged. They're already in production of making.
Well,
a prequel.
they talked about a couple of prequels, but
I've
I
seen
thought
some.
that
Yeah,
a couple-
Prequel would
I
be
thought that
interesting,
there's
but I'm
one.
talking about a
There's one.
a redux of the final fucking season. Like, no, this is how the story ends, bitches.
But like,
Yeah.
if they're doing
I'm-
a prequel, they'll still have all the art design, the sets, and all that shit. So
Well,
it's
it's not the same
easily-
creators, though. It's not the
Yeah,
same.
but you also remember
Or
what
actors.
happened. Even if there's the same creators, you remember what happened with the Lord of the Rings versus the Hobbit movies, right?
That's fucking true. That's true.
Yeah, night and
Hey,
day.
One last note on that subject. The real bitch of it was when I heard, I really was a fan of that show, Game of Thrones. I can't think of a show I liked more than that. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was just really well made. Like I compare shit to it all the time. I'm like, wish it was more like Game of Thrones. But I think that I'm super excited to see what these creators are going to do next. And I love Star Wars. So I was like, all right, well, I sacrificed maybe a little Game of Thrones, but the bright side of that is I get a Star Wars trilogy out of these guys. And they fucking got shit canned from that gig too. So
Yep.
they're no longer doing the Star Wars trilogy.
Well, that's Hollywood for you. Well, let's see. Looking at the clock, I got quite a few questions to get through and then news quiz. I know you guys probably have stories you brought.
Yeah, they're real. There's a famed treasure hunter that was an old army pilot, and he ended up getting cancer, and he got very sick, and he was in his 70s at the time. And he hiked up into the mountains, and he basically had a little treasure chest worth about $3 million in gold, jewelry, and some little tiny paintings and stuff like that. And he buried it up in the Rocky Mountains. Well, he made a journal and basically this poem, and I'm not going to read it to you because we're kind of short of time.
Mhm.
But it basically roundabouts kind of tells you where the treasure was stashed. Well, I think it went on for about 10 years. A few people actually died looking for this treasure. And it was like, it's the full length of the Rocky Mountains. So you had people in, New Mexico coming up trying to find this. Well, there has been a guy from the East Coast that apparently sent this man, his name's Forrest Finn, by the way, sent him an email with a picture of the chest. So he found it. The treasure, but he wanted to be anonymous, which I thought was a little crazy, a little weird. But this happened this year, and unfortunately, Forrest Finn died at the age of 90 this year, just recently.
Leaving all that trash.
Well, yeah, all that treasure, and it was now known that it was found. But the lucid part of the whole question and quest was who actually found it, and what was that? To see physical evidence of what he buried, would be phenomenal to see, because by the look of it, it was like gold coins, jewelry, and other riches worth $3 million. And there's hundreds of people that have been looking to find this, since it was 2010.
Well, yeah, there are people out looking for shipwrecks, and they think that there's like a couple $100,000 in gold coins in there. $3 million? That's a doozy of a treasure.
That's back then too. So you got to think of, inflation and everything else. He wrote a book published in 2010, The Thrill of the Chase, and it was his memoirs. And that's where he allegedly put the clues to the treasure map.
Intriguing. All you need is one treasure map. I've said it my whole life. All you need is one. Can you imagine being one of these people that have somehow made a living out of hunting treasure?
It just sounds miserable.
I guess it's not for everybody.
I'd be like,
well,
maybe I'll get some, maybe I won't.
It's like Indiana
well, that sounds like every Saturday night, Chris. Yeah,
No,
I guess.
I've got a double-sided coin, baby.
Why'd it have to be snakes? But I'm thinking like Indiana Jones. Like some people look at that life and they think, wow, that's just what I want to live. Adventures, excitement. And other people are like, fuck that. Where's my mosquito spray? Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting how many ways there are to live your life on this planet. And there are people out there, I don't know why that just occurred to me, people out there looking for treasure as their gig. That's what they'll do. We were chilling here in the the casa of recent times. Now the alcohol's gigging in. I haven't eaten. I'm kind of fasting, except from booze. But the girls and I were hanging out the other day, and one of them asked me, what sound does this particular animal make? I'm not going to tell you which one because it's actually one on the list. And I was like, I actually have no fucking clue what sound that animal makes. So we looked it up and was like, what? I was like, well, kind of makes sense, kind of doesn't. But then I believe it was Sarah's idea to turn this into an actual show. And that is what we're going to do right now. So 3 choices.
Texting you? What do you want?
Nope.
Text or verbal?
Nope. What we're going to do, since last time I let you be the caboose, you mentioned that you didn't want to feel like you were always riding John Mark's coattails. So I'm going to put you in the passenger seat.
Fuck yeah. Right in the middle.
Driver's seat. I guess I'm the driver. I don't know. Maybe you're in the driver's seat here. But you are out there all by yourself. You're going to get first pick. Then I'm going to go with Lyle. And then, actually, let's go with John Mark in the middle. And then end with Lyle. We'll see if that gives you any more freedom. And this first one is a very seemingly familiar sound. But can you guess it? Give it a listen.
I mean, it sounds like a fucking sprinkler at first. Okay.
Okay, so is that A, cicadas, B, crickets, or C, Madagascar cockroaches?
I'm going to go with A.
You're going with cicadas. Okay, John Mark.
What was the second one?
Crickets.
We got.
Cicadas, crickets,
Mhm.
or Madagascar cockroaches?
I'm gonna go with the cockroaches.
Gonna go with the cockroaches. All right, and Lyle.
Yes, sir. Unless those crickets are deformed and mutated, I'm going to go with C also.
Gonna go with C as well. Well, interesting. Christopher is starting off great with a correct guess on cicadas.
All right. I heard about these in the podcast recently, and they played the sound, so it was a little fresh,
Oh.
but I wasn't quite sure.
Lucky
Ralph
you.
Report. Thanks again, buddy.
Yeah, there are
Those are
quite a few
very
things that do
strange
sound like
sounding
it.
cicadas.
Right?
Well, give
Those
a
are
give it a little listen later
not
on.
not the cicadas that I know. What
Well-
kind of cicadas are these, Ron?
Well, this
Yeah.
this was a single cicada, so maybe that's the difference. Because when you hear a billion of them, they're going to sound different. But they do this. I would say that this is probably the easiest one of the whole list. I gotta get that out.
Grasshopper.
Now, some species of cicadas can actually reach 100 decibels with their calls, which is louder than the average subway if you're
Yeah,
standing right
loud
next
as
to
fuck.
it. Think about that. That is ear-damaging loud. All right. Good job, Chris. Up next. This is the critter we were thinking about the other day that spawned the idea of doing this show. What animal is making this lovely honk? Is it A, a giraffe, B, a hippo, or C, a penguin?
I'm going to go with the giraffe.
Going with giraffe. Okay, John
That sounds like Ron when he's coming. I'm not going to lie. I've stayed in that episode.
I should probably get this looked at. I don't think it's supposed to hurt. John Mark, what say you?
I want to go with the giraffe as well.
Interesting. And Lyle.
I'm getting a little personal on it. It sounds to me like a ostrich that Johnny's throttling. Ostrich egg. Oh
Uh-huh.
man. Yikes. I'm gonna go on a whim and go with 3.
Going with 3, penguin.
Penguin.
Well, John Mark and Christopher are right. It is, in fact, a giraffe. And they actually make several sounds, mostly grunts and whistles. But when they're scared or agitated, they will, or talking to their young, they'll make these kind of honking, trumpeting sounds. And when they're horny, looking for some of that sweet, sweet giraffe
Every time I
pussy.
think of giraffes now, every time I think of
sweet
giraffes
neck
now,
love.
all I can think of is this meme I saw with this giraffe deep throating a fucking pole. Like it was like a fence post.
Hmm.
And I don't know what it was doing, but it was like taking it down, man. And it was like,
Interesting.
what a hoe giraffe.
Here's the real question: how long does it take a giraffe to puke?
Oh, yeah, 20 minutes, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
real
by the
question.
time it gets out its mouth, what it started in its lungs, it probably meant it for someone else. They do make a coughing sound when they're having sex, by the way, which is super hot. All right. So Christopher is in the lead with 2. John Mark right behind with 1. Anybody's game. Lots of questions here. Number 3. What beast do we have rots here? Is it A, the South American vampire bat, B, an aardvark, or C, a termite? Chris, what say ye? A South American vampire bat, an aardvark, or a termite?
This is tough.
It is tough.
Really torn. I'm really torn between B and C. I'm gonna get dangerous here and go C.
Going termite. Okay, John Mark.
I'm gonna go with the aardvark, and I'm also gonna ask, why is it so many things are all recorded at night?
Probably were.
Is that just me?
Yeah, well, I think that's when I hear creepy shit in the woods.
I'm gonna go with aardvark.
Going with the aardvark. Interesting. Well,
Seems to
John
me like it's a
Mark and
mammal.
Lyle are correct. Lyle's on the board.
I knew it.
It
gonna
is,
burn
in
me.
fact, an aardvark. Who knew that goofy fuck made such an alien, creepy tone? Now, this tone is what it makes when it's spooked, but it mostly makes bear grunts. Like kind of a cross between bear and pig noises when it's foraging for food and chatting with other aardvarkians, I suppose. But yeah, I never would have put that together if I hadn't the answer in front of me. All right, moving on. Number 4. Another very alien-like noise comes from this surprising source. Give it a little listen to it. Was that A, a beaver, B, a possum, or C, a platypus?
Ooh.
Jesus fucking Christ. It's a space quiz all over again.
You're doing good, though.
I'm gonna,
You're tied for the lead.
We're talking
I'm
about the clicky noise, right?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I
Give
let
me-
it go.
give me ABC one more time.
A beaver, a possum, or a platypus?
I'm gonna go with B.
Going with possum. Okay. John Mark, what say you?
So it was beaver, possum, or platypus, huh?
Yeah.
My 3 favorite sexual positions.
So possum is a bold statement.
Yes.
Um,
I've played
gonna go with
possum
the-
sexually.
I'm gonna go with the platypus.
Going with the platypus. Okay, and Lyle?
No, I don't want to go with the red herring, but it kind of sounded like a little wood chomping like a beaver would do.
It does sound
chomp.
like it's chomping.
We got a full board here.
Well, it was, in fact, C. It was a platypus. John Mark was
Yes.
correct.
I gotta
Possibly
start
the
going with
goofiest looking animal on the planet, by my measure, the platypus. Now, this clicking sound is often a ploy to lure other small critters in, trying to make them think that there are other bugs about for it
jacks
to
'em.
eat. And then it eats them. I got to be honest, I had no idea that the platypus was a carnivore. So don't call it goofy to its goofy fucking face, I guess. They also make a purring sound, a really famous, actually, purring sound. That kind of sounds more like what I just played for the aardvark. But
Well, you know they have like super poisonous spines in their legs, right?
poisonous spines? No.
Yeah,
I
the
did not know
platypus
that.
has like
Weird creature.
poisonous spines in its legs that can fucking jab you and shoot you full of venom and fucking take you out, man.
Well, that seems
That's-
scattershot because I've seen people playing with like platypus pups, and they're super
Yeah.
cute, and they're like rolling around. They're like holding them in their hand, half in water, because they
I'm sure it's
they
something
do
that has to
thrive
develop
more in
over
water.
time, you know.
I've seen poisonous spines open up for Alice in Chains back in the day.
Ooh, good call.
That was a good one.
Okay, so that puts John Mark in the lead, only by 1.
Of course.
Christopher in second with 2. It's a 1-2-3 game, so none of you are that far away. Moving on. Question 5. This robotic sounding animal was given the Latin name Tibicen, which means flute player. Give a little listen here.
Well, that sounds like a nightmare.
Great.
It's amazing, isn't it? Is it A, a sandpiper, B, a whippoorwill, or C, a magpie?
What the fuck is a whippoorwill?
Oh, the ripple.
Hear the lonesome whippoorwill. They're all birds, if that helps.
Cool.
Cool.
Let's go with the magpie.
What did you go with?
Mag-
The magpie. Okay. John Mark?
I'm going with the sandpiper.
Fucker.
Okay. And Lyle.
The fuck was the fucker for? I'm gonna go with the magpie too, because it seems like I've heard him before do that.
Well, Lyle and Christopher are
Mag-
absolutely right. It's a magpie.
Yeah, magpies.
Yeah, high five, Lau.
Well, magpies, they're scavengers. They just eat dead shit, and they're beautiful. They're one of the most
I
beautiful
love
birds
magpies.
you'll
They're
ever
one of my
see.
favorite birds. Yeah.
Just disgusting. They usually make like you see like nests underneath the bridge or nests in like dirt hills and stuff. That's where they tend to nest, like in a mud clay kind of area.
Well, this one is in particular is the Australian magpie, and it's revered as one of the most beloved songbirds on the planet. But they can
also tend to like steal shiny shit, right?
Those are crows.
I haven't heard that. I know
Right.
crows do. The magpies might. They're very crow-like. In fact, what I was going to say was that they, like crows, can often mimic humans, almost like a parrot. And I have heard tales, again, like crows, of people splitting, cutting the tongue. I guess that's the secret. You split the tongue, or maybe that's a myth, but you split the tongue of a crow or a magpie, and it can actually talk like a parrot. But even without doing that, these birds sometimes will mimic human beings. It's very interesting. So that puts Chris back in, tied for first with John Mark, and Lyle is still in it with 2. Moving right along. You guys are doing really good.
Second place, nice.
Mm-hmm. Second out of 3, that ain't bad. Now, number 6. This animal makes a rather surprising noise when trying to lure in prey. Get a load of this one. A wolf, a crocodile, or a puma?
Oh my fucking god! A wolf, a crocodile, or a puma?
This might be
Squeak,
easier for people that
squeak.
grew up around here than otherwise. Maybe not. A lot of people don't know this.
I'm gonna go with wolf. Why not?
Okay. John Mark, what about y'all?
I'm gonna go with puma.
Fuck.
Puma. You're welcome to our world, Chris. Whenever John Mark goes against you, you're like, fuck.
Well, spoiler kind of gave it away, but like, because I mean, there's no crocodiles around here, and there's no pumas. Or what was it, puma or panther?
Well, I'll say this. I didn't give it away because of not the way you might think anyway.
Well, there's a lot of wolves, and wolves do make that type of noise, but so maybe could cats. So I'm gonna go with the wolf. I'll go with Chris.
Okay. Well, it was the puma. Now, the reason I said that people that grew up around here, because I've heard cougars do this, or I've seen cougars do this, but only recently. I had no idea my whole life. Probably hearing that, thinking it was a groundhog or a squirrel or any other thing that goes, which is a lot of things out in the woods, birds, but that's what they do. They are doing it to sort of lure in prey, like, oh, there's a chipmunk afoot. I can go get me an easy snack. But so the next time you're out there hiking in them thar woods and you hear that, maybe just walk quietly but boldly and tall away from it, because it could be a cat. Now, wolves and dogs do make whistling sounds like that. They're clever enough to do a similar thing. Yeah, but this one was actually a puma. And cougars have been caught on camera making similar noises right here in our neck of the woods, and you'd never fucking know.
Cougars are everywhere up here. They're in Leavenworth.
Mm-hmm. Well, this next one is an eerie beast of the deep that will surely give Christopher nightmares. But many people find this creature's song to be both magical and soothing. So give it a little listen here.
Does the splish splash sound have to be in it too?
That is the eeriest part. That's does the splish
just
have to be? Okay. Oops, I gotta go back just a tiny bit.
Just so we can hear it
More
again.
of a break between.
Man.
All right, well, you hear a little bit of that one when we move forward. Is that A, the humpback whale, B, a dolphin, or C, the giant Pacific octopus?
Oh, if it's the fucking octopus, I'm just gonna kill myself tonight.
Do you even have an octopus phobia?
Oh,
I mean,
fuck them. And yeah, they're the worst.
Oh, fuck
Octopuses
them.
They're not even of this planet.
They're super
I
fucking
guess-
smart.
I guess I can see that.
Octopus-
God,
But they're probably I would put octopus in like one of the top 5 most beloved animals on the
No.
planet. Wouldn't?
Yeah, until you
Oh,
went
so
around your
gross.
face trying to eat you.
Oh, my
No.
stomach's not stop it.
Okay.
Okay,
You've been
I'm
tortured long enough.
going whale all the way.
You're going humpback whale. Okay, John Mayer.
Did you say humpback or blue?
Humpback. Humpback whale, a dolphin, or a giant octopus?
I'll go with humpback whale.
Whale, a whale,
Whale.
And Lionel.
a whale. I would rather be at a mermaid, but that sounds painful. I'm gonna go. Oh, God, I'm just throwing it because I don't really care. Because
That's how I
I think
play.
I've already lost.
Analyles incoming.
So,
That's how I play.
well,
God
and
dang.
I know whales make that sound, but I do
Mm.
also know that dolphins make those sounds too,
Interesting.
and they're really creepy. I'm gonna go with dolphin.
Well, that's a very good guess, but in this case, it was the humpback whale,
That's it. That's all it is.
which takes Chris and John Mark up. So you're still neck and neck. John Mark's still in the lead, but only
Still
by
the lead.
one. Yeah, it pretty fascinating actually. The females do sing, but the males tend to be much louder and more complex, and they even learn each other's songs with other whales, and they harmonize together as they swim in pods.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah,
I like mammals. Mammals are cool.
Yeah, they could hear that from miles away too.
The rest,
Crazy.
fuck them.
So you're fine with a 30-foot whale, but
I saw one under me under a bridge I was walking over in Bremerton once, and it scared the fucking shit. It like surfaced, and I was like, "Sea monster!" Was all I could think of. I had my headphones in. I was like, "Doo-doo-doo," walking across the bridge.
yeah.
I grabbed the railing, and I was like, "Oh my fucking god!" 'Cause it scared me so bad, and then I realized what I was looking at. You don't understand unless you're fucking 100 foot up above the water,
I believe
and this
you.
thing just comes up with
Well, it's huge. Yeah,
particles.
it's like
I believe it.
size
Did
of-
it jump or did it just like surface to get a
Two
little
of
bit of
them
air?
surfaced. They were traveling through, and then the Kitsap Sun sent photographers, yada yada. But it scared me so bad. I grabbed the railing to steady my body. I was like,
Listen, these things are monsters in terms of size. It doesn't matter what,
huge.
how peaceful or how gentle or how docile they are. The size alone makes them intimidating. Yeah, I've talked about it before. I kayaked over whale waters in whale season, and we got some sort of sign. I can't remember what the guide said. Maybe it's bullshit. Maybe it's something he does for every group to make them feel like, oh, we almost saw a whale. We did see some killer whales, some orcas jumping off in the distance, but he claimed that there are signs that there was a giant whale underneath us. And I was like, if this thing surfaces just to say, how do you do? We're dead. If we're on top of it and he goes up and, does that little jump and then folds over as they do, we're it's like a school bus doing that. We are
Big
all of
slaps
us
you in
dead.
the tail.
Yeah.
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 Did
Crazy,
you know a fun
crazy
fact?
fucking animals.
Here's a fun fact. I was diving into the megalodon, the biggest fucking animal that ever lived on the planet Earth.
Mhm.
Did you know the megalodon and the blue whale?
fucking love the way you
Yeah.
described that, loud. The fucking
both-
motherfucking biggest animal your eyes are ever gonna see on Earth.
Oh, dude, check out the megalodon. That thing just fascinates me. I love it so much. But the blue whale and the megalodon both lived on the Earth at the same time.
Oh, that's interesting.
Think about that. Think about the battle of that.
Blue whale
Make it
versus megalodon. Yeah, I'd see that on
Yes.
Sci-Fi Network.
It's
Mhm.
so great. They're so huge. They're so huge.
It's hard to comprehend. Yeah, that would be an epic battle, even at slow mo
Oh.
underwater.
So, they
Yeah.
say they're taller than a 4-story building. They're that big. They're huge.
Can you imagine a fish
So-
standing
so
on
fucking
its
big.
tail, peeking in on you
Dude,
on
it's
the
a tro-
4th floor?
it's like a great white, but bigger. Like
Mhm.
fucking way bigger.
Yeah,
It's so fascinating.
I could swallow
Even
that
their
buzz.
teeth. the teeth that the fossilized teeth that they find, they're fascinating. They're almost 2 foot tall, just giant.
It'd be amazing to have one of those, wouldn't it? Make like an ottoman
I
out of it.
was-
Like, fuck you, bitch. I'm putting my feet up on your teeth.
You know what's
They've
crazy?
been
is they
bigger, but I'm
found
alive.
They found megalodon shark bones, fossils all over all the waters.
Mhm.
So all the coastal shores. So that
They're
that
just everywhere.
shark literally swum the seas in the Pacific and the Atlantic, except everywhere. I guess in Britain, it didn't get to Britain because the water's too cold.
Didn't like the way they called French fries chips.
No, but could you imagine? I mean, because we all do it, like with the giant squid. What if that thing is still alive, just down in the depths?
It could
Way
be,
down
and
the ocean.
probably is. This is my question to you. Did they mention why it went away? What caused it to be extinct?
It was a feeding process. It was the thing of global warming, as the water channels kind of grew a little warmer. It wasn't enough food to survive.
Interesting.
But it makes you wonder, because if the megalodon and the blue whale both existed at the same time, and the megalodon would have ate it for sure,
Mhm, mhm.
the blue whale's still alive. It's still on Earth.
Yeah.
So
Anything could be down there, man. I say it. I feel like I say it almost every week. Anything could be down there. Okay, this next one would quickly fill a camper's diape if you heard it in the middle of the night, as John Mark said earlier. Give a taste here. Oh, yeah, sorry. I knew I was going to be a little behind here. Let's enjoy more of the whale. Sorry, Chris.
Like, wait a second.
That's flashy.
Okay. Sorry, there's no way around it. You're going to hear a little bit more whale. Now listen closely, because it goes quick to the next one. I didn't give myself.
Oh,
Jesus
nice.
fucking
Yeah,
Christ.
I know, right?
Can I hear? I got it. I'm sorry. One more time. It was so quick. Can you?
I'll try.
Got it. He said drops.
Well, okay,
Okay,
well,
perfect.
your punishment for making me rewind is just hearing the rest of the whale. Now, it does go quick. I should have got another sample. Here we go.
No.
I know.
Stop
Isn't that
it.
fucking harrowing? Now, is this hell beast A, an owl,
Oh.
B, a fox, or
Oh.
C, a coyote?
Oh my god. This is fucked up. Okay. Oh my god. My first instinct is to go with the owl. Why is that? It seems fucking illogical because we know owls say who. Who. I don't know. I'm going with the owl.
You're going with the owl. Okay. John Mark?
I want to say fox, but I'm going to go with coyote.
Going with coyote. Okay.
Growing up as a kid, we had a pretty foresty, like kind of backyard area, and there used to be a barn owl that lived back there. And I'm telling you, owl screeches are fucking kind of horrifying.
Back me up, baby.
Where I'm going with the owl.
Yeah.
Well, that is our first whiff of the night.
Fuck,
You,
shit.
your owl logic is sound, and that's why I put it in there. The screech owl and the night owl, they both, or the night hawk, there are a couple different types of night predator birds that can absolutely make us scream. But this one is actually the plain old fox. They do tend to scream more during mating season, but they have lots of other more canine-like sounds. But the scream is right out of Lord of the fucking Rings, right? like the what are they called?
Yeah.
The wraiths, the wow,
Oh, the ring race?
ring race, yeah.
Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
not school.
That's cool. So our first whiff. All right. So quick recap on the score. We got a few more questions here. Christopher is still doing pretty good in second place with 4. John Mark 5. Lau has some catching up to do, but there's time enough. Maybe. We're down to our last few questions here, but this to me is another surprising sound from a large animal. Give it a little listen here. Actually, that's pretty close to a ring wraith.
It sounds like you're a shortwave radio, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck was that?
So, what was it indeed? Was it A, an elk, B,
Oh,
a rhino, or C, a Kodiak bear? I said surprising.
I want to go with A. Is it elk
Yeah, going with elk.
that you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, John Mark.
I'm gonna say elk too.
yeah,
Double
I think
elk.
I fucked up by saying no. It's an elk.
Well, right all across the board, it was in fact an elk. The famous bleating of an elk in mating season. I've heard this in the wild, and it is quite a thing to see that sound coming from a beast the size of an SUV. It really surprised me first time I saw it. All right, couple more here. Another, to me, quite alien form of communique comes from this bizarre creature. Give it a listen.
I don't.
Not
I
nuts.
got a chainsaw that makes that sound.
Yeah. Is it A, a sloth, B,
Fuck.
a narwhal, or C, the leaf-horned frog?
Well, it couldn't have been B or C because I didn't hear any splish splash, splish splash, splish splash on top of the track. I'm gonna go with A.
Going with the sloth. All right. And John Mark?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the sloth as well.
Going with the sloth too. And
I'm
Lyle.
gonna accommodate you for those answers because they're all good. I'm gonna go with the tree frog.
Going with the tree frog. Well,
I've already
ano-
lost.
Yeah. Well, no, you were good to guess against what they guessed, no matter what. Unfortunately,
Oh, fuck off.
you got the wrong one. It was the narwhal,
Oh, God.
which is a type of whale, by the way. Now, they like it ice cold, and they live only in the slushy waters of the Arctic. And they make other sounds like all these animals. Most of them are more like the humpback whale, but the clicking is interesting because it can go in and out of the range of our pathetic human ears, much higher and lower than we can possibly hear. So, interesting critter and interesting noise. Hi, buddy. I hope you find your dad. Okay, one more. And I do have a tiebreaker because this could be tied. It's 5-6. Lyle, sorry, nothing you can do at this point, but we're going to get your answer anyway. So let's see what we have here. This is our final critter. God. There we go. All right. Is that coming from an orangutan, a zebra, or a giant panda? This is for a possible tie or the win.
This is fucked up. Okay. I'm gonna go with the zebra. I got regrets already.
Going with the zebra. All right, John Mark.
I'm gonna go with the zebra as well.
Oh, God damn it, John Mark.
Going with the zebra. Okay, and Lyle, what do you say?
I'm going panda.
Going with the panda. Well, it didn't do much good, but you were right on that one. It was indeed the giant panda.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Pandas are famously loner animals to the point of near extinction, of course, from their lack of casual humping. But they do talk to other pandas when they see them, using that dolphin-like chatter, again, along with other more bear-like barks and growls. But, all right, well, it was a close game, you two. But John Mark won it by 1 point. You'd be proud of that,
Nicely
Christopher.
done.
You not only...
That's all you need.
Yeah,
1 point.
basically...
I love how
just whipped
Sharky
the
gets,
dick right out.
bitch.
Mhm. I was trying to give Chris a compliment. He just fucking shut that down. All you need is one, bitch. True point.
A second deal.
Yeah. You guys need to get better at quiz shit because he's getting a little cocky. I think he needs to be brought down a peg.
Well, I'll tell you what. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to go pee, and when we come back to play your quiz, I'm going to go with a different tactic.
Right.
I'm going to cheat. No.
I'm calling this right now. When I wrote this quiz today, I specifically said, I think John Mark's going to get fucked. So,
yeah, boy. But see, now, when you tempt fate.
I know. We both have already. You're like, I've got a fresh tactic. I'm like, me too, motherfucker.
As we're peeing, John Mark's going to be Googling things I don't already know. Four answers will pop up, and it'll be all four.
Three of them he's already clicked. You just said it. All right.
I'll be right back.
All right. Okay. All right, motherfuckers. Okay, we're going to go back to a standard order here. Ron, you're going to go first. John Mark's going to go second. And Lyle is going to go third.
You did pretty good in first, I got to say. You feeling good about your animal quiz? You should be.
I am, actually. I feel like I'm one with nature. Like pot smoking hippie.
Yeah. Got about 50%.
Okay. We're going to start today's weird trivia off. Oh, wait. Y'all ready for this?
Thank you, John Mark.
Thank you. I was like, he's going to kick in, right?
God, I'm gonna get that on a soundboard or something.
Yeah, that would be fucking great.
Although I do like the variation
right
from week to week.
I'm gonna steal it.
We're going to start today's weird trivia off with a listener submitted story. Big thank you to Ben Morhaime again for emailing this one over to me. If you ever find a story you want to send over to me, a funky little story you want me to talk about and turn into one of these weird questions, please do so. You can email that to me at christopher.bazaar@gmail.com. Okay, we're also going to try something a little different here. On the listener emailed stories, they're going to get the Florida treatment there. They're going to be worth double the points.
Ooh,
so
I like
get
that.
this right.
That's exciting.
2 points right off the bat.
Doubly dibbly dubs.
Okay, question 1. So since COVID hit, the Walla Walla Public Library in good old Washington State has been closed to the public, like every other library. Like many businesses, they've used this opportunity to make some renovations. During the demolition of one area, a secret stash of sorts was found behind a 7-foot-tall shelving unit that had been hidden away for over 30 years.
Tell me it's Bruce Wayne's fucking manor.
Oh my God, that'd be so. Is it A, the Bat Cave? No, okay.
Yes.
So for over 30 years, something was tucked away behind a shelf, so it was like a little secret stash. What was in it? Was it A, a collection of over 40 different library cards that had been reported stolen?
The world's whitest criminal.
They were murdered, Ron. No. Is it B,
basement?
3 different shades of lipstick, 2 bottles of hand lotion, and a diaphragm?
More specific, but you're capable.
Oh.
Is it C, 5 cans of Hamm's beer and an half-empty packet of chewing gum?
Well, if it's blackjack gum, then that's the Ronster Special, because that's my favorite cheap beer and my favorite gum. Okay.
Where was that 40 years ago?
Well, no wonder they're out of it. It's all right higher.
Or is it D, a collection of over 20 love letters addressed to a dead librarian? Well, she's been dead for 10 years. It was a collection of love letters to one of the librarians there that's been dead for 10 years now.
It's hard.
Somber.
Ronster,
This is
what do you got?
real hard.
Points are only 2 points.
Well, here's where I'm going to do things differently. My heart tells me to go for the Hams because that's my favorite cheap beer. But I'm trying to think of.
What's your head tell you?
My head tells me to go with the library cards.
Oh, fucking. So what are you going with? Head or heart? What's your dick tell you?
My dick, I rarely listen to anymore. It's in probation. I'm gonna go with the library cards. Yeah, see if my head gets me where I ought to be.
Right. Jamak?
I'm gonna go with the hams.
God damn it.
So much better.
If the right answer is my
Wow.
favorite cheap beer, I'll be pissed.
What about the bubble gum, man?
I know. I'm assuming it's blackjack. That's my favorite gum.
Real quick, the what we were talking about was Batman and the whole Walla Walla, Washington. That's where the original Batman was from.
Adam
Oh,
West.
you're talking about what's
Walla
the-
Walla, Washington.
The 60s Batman. Yeah.
Yeah, 60s
Yeah,
Batman.
Yeah, he's
Anyway,
from Walla Walla.
I'm gonna go with the love letters.
You romantic fuck. I love it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good answer too.
Okay. Question 2. This 2020 has been rough. The hits keep on coming.
How so?
And oh, yeah. This is no exception. The state of Texas is now battling an alarming surge of infestations of these. So this is a real problem they're having. What's infesting Texas at an alarming rate? Is it A, armadillos that have been driven mad by heat stroke?
Oh, Jesus.
Is it B, extremely aggressive and poisonous scorpions?
All right.
Is it C, several varieties of flesh-eating bacteria?
Jesus, you can see all of a sudden how you get to a book of the Revelations, right? And not necessarily as a prophecy, but as this is life. Like at some point, at many points throughout the Earth's history, there have been things that look like what we're going through right now and worse. Fucking plagues, man. Whew. Okay.
Well, there's one more. Or is it
I'm
D,
sorry.
rodents of unusual size, aka swamp rats?
Swamp rats.
Swamp. Wait, is swamp rat a thing? It's a real thing?
Oh, yeah. They're huge.
Mhm.
They'll kill you.
They're huge. They'll kill you.
So one more time,
Okay.
armadillos that have been driven mad by heat stroke, extremely aggressive and poisonous scorpions, several varieties of flesh-eating bacteria, or rodents of unusual size, aka swamp rats.
Fuck. Again, this is going to be interesting. Win or lose, come what may, I will learn a little something about my head and heart, unless they're both wrong, which is possible. I'm that bad at this. My heart tells me any reference to the Princess Bride, go for it, son. My head is telling me Fire Crazed Armadillos is the Lost Meat Puppets album that I would pay top dollar for. I'm going to go with that. Armadillos running from the fire. I'd read
Okay.
that story. I'd listen to that album.
Mm-hmm.
John Mark?
Well, armadillos seems a little too on the nose, but that's what I'm gonna pick as well.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, not me. I'm gonna go with the flesh viruses.
Ooh,
I love that he shortened flesh-eating bacteria to
flesh virus.
flesh virus.
That sounds like the movie version.
It's the new fear. You got to be,
Flesh
up on your.
virus.
Okay.
I've seen Flesh Virus open up for Metallica.
We come up with more great band names accidentally than band names on purpose.
Okay, question 3. As we continue to navigate COVID-19, more and more ideas and or products are popping up that are meant to help us traverse this pandemic. The electronic manufacturing giant LG has shared that soon it will release a product that does this, or that is this. Is it A battery-powered face mask that will make masked breathing fashionable and, most importantly, effortless?
Battery powered. All right. I guess
Is
we'll
it
get the
B?
details on that later. Maybe.
An attachment for your smartphone that will scan your eye retina to give you an extremely accurate body temperature reading.
I like that.
Can you guys believe I'm fucking high right now? I read these so well, don't I? Come on.
Can you believe how high I am right now?
I'm talking out loud again.
when aren't you high, Chris?
When I'm fathering or working. So,
Oh, for sure.
is it C, A small personal electronic device the size of a pager that will regularly sterilize your surroundings with an ultraviolet sterilization ray.
That's sci-fi.
Uh-huh. Indeed. The ray gun is what I would call it.
Or is it an extremely inexpensive VR headset meant to assist students at home with their at-home learning?
That's where it's at.
Virtual school. That's what I had. I was virtually educated. Virtually. Whew.
Virtually?
Okay, well, head says that it's... Actually, I think my head and heart might be agreeing here. I'm feeling drawn toward the UV ray thing. I know that there has been talk of products like this to some degree. I haven't heard of like a portable version of anything. But I feel like airports soon will probably have UV guns that will zap your shit. Boy, I'm sorry, remind me
A battery-powered face mask that will make mask breathing fashionable and, most importantly, effortless.
That one to me is the most draconian answer, because I really dislike the idea that we're in the mask era for that long. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's correct. Part of me leans toward that, but I'm going to stick to my guns and go with the UV gun.
Okay. All right, John Mark.
I'll go with A.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the batteries do.
I must compliment you also, Chris, on having great answers, because these are
Thank you.
pretty good and
Always.
technically possible and feasible. The UV stuff, that they actually make a product that goes in your ductwork that actually zaps all the dust and allergens and stuff like that. They use them in hospitals, and you can buy them for your house.
Really?
And I'm really kind of surprised. Yeah, I'm really surprised this hasn't taken off in the whole thing of COVID. But I do know they're like a bulb, kind of like a I want to say like a light for a fish tank, but it's a UV light and it sticks right into your return duct. And as the air cycles in back into your furnace, it kind of zaps all those nasty things.
Yeah, because it takes like seconds, right? Like like once you get hit with, just long enough to be hit with it.
Yeah, it's all it takes. It doesn't have to be
I
like
had
under
no
the light.
idea that existed, but it makes me happy to know that it does, especially in a hospital. That
I've
may be
had-
something. Yeah, whoever has that technology, they're going to be selling more of those in the next year.
Well,
I'm guessing.
The thing is it like attaches to the dust particles too. So as it travels and like lands on, it's supposed to clean like counter surfaces.
Wow. I'd
Yeah.
never heard that.
So,
Hmm.
It's been around for quite a while. We have it in the house. It's installed here. It's,
Crazy. Yeah, we should have been ahead of the game on that one.
The thing is, the bulbs only last for like 2 or 3 years, and then you have to have them replaced, and they're kind of
Yeah.
expensive. They're $100. So
We do less practical stuff. So are you going with that answer, or are you leaning towards something else?
I was going to lean towards the final answer there. What was that, Chris?
Oh.
E?
The extremely inexpensive VR headset for children doing at-home learning.
I could see that. I could see that actually
I
working
can too.
very
Yeah.
because of the Zoom phenomenon, and it's very important that our kids get educated. You don't want to hold them for more than a year.
And everyone's hacking the Zoom classes. That happened here locally today. A teacher got her class hacked by somebody just pulling down their pants and showing the entire middle school class their hoo-ha,
Yikes.
Netflix recently announced, I fucking love these ones. Okay, Netflix recently announced a live-action TV series based off of one of our beloved video games. Although it's not the first time this IP has been brought to the screen. What video game is getting an 8-episode live-action series that will be written and directed by Supernatural creator Andrew Dabb?
Sweet.
Is it A, Street Fighter? Hadouken!
Hadouken. Hadouken.
That was good.
It seemed overdue and yet far too late at the same time for a
Yeah.
Street Fighter
Remember
franchise. But you never
remember the movie? That movie was
Yeah. With Van Damme, come on.
It's kind of
Oh, there was a Street Fighter movie?
yeah.
Raul,
It was
There was
Raul-
a couple of them, wasn't
Yeah.
there?
what'd you say?
Well, I knew there were Mortal Kombat.
Wasn't there a
fights.
couple of those movies?
Probably. I only remember the first one.
yeah.
Well,
That's all.
Hmm.
Was it B, Resident Evil?
Oh, don't tease me like that. There's never been a TV series.
No, I don't think there's been a TV series for any of these. I
Yeah.
don't think there's been many TV series based off video games. Am I wrong? I mean, there's probably been a few.
There's been a
Can't
couple.
think of,
Yeah, I can think
like
of
a real.
I can really only think of one,
Witcher. Well, I guess it's books too.
but I don't want to say
Yeah,
it
I
because
mean,
it might be
that's-
on your list. I don't know.
Yeah. Is it C, the Super Mario fucking Brothers? Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Bing.
Um,
How weird was that fucking movie, man? Dennis
It
Hopper.
was.
Did you know Mario was actually supposed to be a carpenter, not a plumber?
Huh.
Originally. Yeah.
Wow.
Fun fact.
Well, they
Or
should have
was
gone
it-
with wood, not pipes. I guess.
Or was it D, Double Dragon?
Oh, Double Dragon.
Yeah, I remember
That
that
was
movie
always
too.
a
That
little
had
side
that one of the guys from Party of Five, right?
I think it did.
Yeah.
Okay, Ronster, what are you going with?
Strange. This is one. I'm gonna go with the heart on this one. My head's telling me A, but my heart is telling me C. That was Mario, right? Mario was C.
Yep.
Yeah, my heart's telling me C. You know, how do you make that into? We saw what
could.
they did with the movie. How do you make
Gotta
that
plant
into a
the
show?
princess. She's in one of the castles. Yeah.
and one of them eventually.
That's right. At the end of every season. Sorry. The princess is in another castle. That would be fucking brilliant.
It writes itself.
No.
John Mark.
I'm gonna go with Double Dragon.
Okay.
Yeah, that was what my head. I know. What was the first one?
Street Fighter,
Fighter.
Resident
Oh,
Evil, Super
yeah.
Mario Bros.
Oh,
or Double Dragon.
Resident
Ron, what
Evil.
did you go with? Did you go with
I went
Mario?
with Mario. Yeah, I'm sticking with Mario.
Yeah. I'm going
Not
completely
feeling strong.
selfish. So selfish on this. But I'm gonna go because there's so much lore and there's so many books and there's so much stuff besides the video games. And there's already like 8 video games. And like 4 or 5 movies. But I'm gonna go with Resident Evil. Because it's never had its
Yeah.
own TV show. And I
Yeah.
think it'll
It's the
with
one that makes the
star-
most sense. I don't know
Yeah,
why
with
my head
stars and all
didn't
the
go for that.
and the zombie. Oh man, I'm
Mhm.
excited.
Especially right now. I kind of want to change my answer, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to see it happen. Dude. I need to watch me a Resident Evil movie.
I don't think
Okay.
I've seen. I saw one of them in the drive-in. Must have been the first one, years and years ago, of course, but don't remember at all. All right, where are we at?
All right, let's see how you guys did here. Question 1. Okay, since COVID hit, the Walla Walla Public Library in good old Washington State has been closed to the public, and they were making some renovations, and they opened up a wall, and lo and behold, they found a bag with this in it. Picture incoming to your little Facebook Messenger, guys.
What we got?
Oh.
For Rochire? Oh, god damn it!
And dude,
Yeah,
listen,
Monster. Woof.
You know what's
Tough
crazy?
break,
I
buddy.
remember seeing this picture on Facebook, but I never clicked on the story, and I didn't put it together when you were telling me bubblegum, Godzilla bubblegum. Hams. I love the cans still look exactly the same. Oh.
It is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah,
Well,
bummer.
John Mark got that right. It was worth 2 points. So right off the bat, he's given the old John Mark. You
Well,
know
sure.
what I'm saying?
This is what I'm saying. It's like, well, now if I can't go by my heart and I can't go by my head next week, I have to go by my
Let's
cock,
see-
right? I have
let's
to.
see how you did. Don't
Alright.
let's not get ahead of the.
Well,
put the
I'm already
cart before
halfway
the lawn.
lost, but let's see.
Still got 3 more questions.
It's true.
Question 2. The hits just keep coming in 2020. This is no exception. The state of Texas is now battling an alarming surge and infestation of these. And again, I've got a photo for you here. This is a sidewalk, an ordinary sized sidewalk.
I'm guessing it won't be armadillos, will it? Let's see what
oh, dude.
I should have went with my
Giant
heart.
Fucking swamp rats,
Rodents
motherfuckers.
of unusual size. What is this?
The real thing? I don't know. They're all over. I found dozens of photos, and
This-
that was the one I liked the most. But
This is not a
Woof.
normal rat.
they're usually a little bigger than ducks, is what they say.
What the fuck is it?
It's a swamp rat.
Those aren't nutrias, are they?
What?
Those aren't nutrias, are they?
Well,
don't know what you're
that's
saying.
what I thought when I first saw him. That was going to be one of my animals that made
Oh, I don't know what those are.
Okay, well
Well,
here
technically, a nutria is a swamp rat.
Oh, then yes, I said swamp rat. I didn't know their fucking Latin name. Apology.
nutria, also known as a swamp rat, is a semi-aquatic rodent.
Oh God, so
Texas.
gross.
In Texas.
Let's see. That was question 2. That was a whiff. No, I missed that one.
Yes.
None of us guessed that shit.
Being big in Texas. There you go.
Oh, it's still anyone's game. Still anyone's game.
Sure.
All right, okay. Ronster, don't give up yet.
Okay.
All right. Don't sink
The
in
window's
this.
open, but I'm not only halfway out it.
Question 3. As we continue to navigate COVID-19, more and more ideas and or products are popping up here that are meant to help us traverse this pandemic. The electric manufacturing giant LG has shared that soon it will release this product. And I have another photo. It's going to be real apparent. Now, I believe this is a render, so it looks a little wonky, but they have actual photos of it too.
Wow.
It was a battery-powered face mask that will make breathing in it effortless.
How so?
I believe it has fans that intake and extake with your breath, so you don't have a feeling of a resistance there.
Probably filters inside and
Wow.
everything.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's probably like when you breathe in, it kind of activates the fans and the batteries kick
regulate-
in, and
yeah.
it like helps. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it makes that. I'm assuming that's just my first thought when I look at it. I didn't actually read too far into the article. Interesting shit,
Well,
though.
we're living
Huh.
in some kind of future, fellas.
I don't see
John
this.
Got that,
Sorry, go ahead.
John Mark got that correct, giving him a 3rd point. But we still have your heart, your head, and your dick may have answered correctly on 4. We don't know. We'll get there.
well, we need to figure out a
Sure,
way
my
now
dick
to make our ears not look like Dumbo from wearing masks. Because that's going to be a
Yeah.
real thing. after
We
a
will.
while. I
We
think
will.
ears-
This is how things work, though. The mask necessity will facilitate the need to adapt our string and strap technology. So we'll find something that's better. But as I was saying earlier, this is the most dystopian answer of them all, because a lot of people are hypothesizing that this is life now. Like every single flu season, every single outbreak of anything anywhere, and we are wearing masks. And so masks are getting more fashionable. They're getting more permanent. They're getting more fancy and comfortable. I ain't getting behind that idea, man. I'm going along with the mask thing now, but I ain't getting behind. That's our
gonna
life now.
Well, it's going to be for this winter at least, right? Because they still don't have a vaccine for COVID. They still don't really know what the fuck it is.
Right.
And that combined with the flu, I mean, can you imagine getting the flu and then getting COVID on top of the flu? Because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So this winter is going to be a fucking disaster. But if they can figure that shit out, then if they get some kind of vaccine to where they can bring it down to at least levels of flu deaths, and you know what I mean?
Sure. Well, at the same time, I will say this. Like having an extra supply of water, not a crazy amount, but an extra supply of water and food, not prepper level necessarily, but prepared. Like if COVID taught us anything, it was how fragile we are and how ill prepared we are to deal with stores being out of something, or industries being shut down for half a fucking year. Masks are part of that equation too, I guess. Anything could pop up where we could need a mask, and maybe this fancy new mask here isn't just antiviral, but it would be something that we could use now during the smoke apocalypse that's happening outside our door.
Smokeapocalypse.
Yeah, it could filter
Because-
that shit out, which
because
your
that's-
fucking hanky definitely is not doing. Go ahead, though.
And then not Wenatchee, but like Washington and stuff like that. That's not the case. I mean, we have forest fires all over. California's probably one of the worst too. So I mean, those would definitely benefit people's life or comfort, especially
Yeah.
if it's actually knocking down some of that smoke.
Sure.
Well, the next couple
Yeah,
days,
it's probably
it looks
smart.
like we're gonna all be probably having to wear masks inside, according to what it looks like it's blowing up from the south there.
Inside?
Well, I mean, you didn't see the news?
No.
There's the giant smoke cloud from California is blowing up into Oregon and
Yeah.
Washington. And
We're gonna
so,
get BF'd here.
so
Mm.
it's gonna be even worse. So you saw those pictures of what it looks like in San Francisco looks like Blade Runner 2049 right now.
That's insane.
That shit's heading our way.
We had the yellow, they got the red. I suppose everywhere in between is orange.
So we're gonna get double fucked.
Oh, we got Portland too.
Yeah.
They're purposely burning them down.
Well, then we got the
Supposed to move in
fucking
tonight
Ozmas
and
back.
last till probably early next week when it starts raining. But
Yeah,
Great. Good. You know, raise your hand if you're just kind of ready for the meteor.
Present.
hi-yo.
All right. Where are we
okay.
at?
Let's see. We have moved on to our final question here. Again, John Mark has 3 points already. Lyle has 0 points. Ron has 0 points. How do we end
But
this?
it's anybody's game.
Anybody's game. For honor. Netflix recently announced a live-action TV series based off of one of our favorite old video games. Although it's not the first time this IP has been brought to the screen, this video game is getting an 8-episode live-action series that will be written and directed by Supernatural creator Andrew Dabb. And we were talking about, hold on to your dick, Lyle, Resident Evil.
Well,
and I
it makes sense that it's the director of the Supernatural series.
that's kind of clued me off too. I couldn't imagine
Right.
like a Street Fighter or anything like that because
Well,
in
you
his
never know.
film, dude, Supernatural is a fucking really amazing TV fucking series.
I was gonna ask you guys
Yeah.
if any of you have watched it because it's been. I
I've
watched the
never seen
first.
it.
I
Really?
watched the pilot and it didn't grip me. But I haven't given it beyond
I think
that.
I've
John
watched
Mark.
like two. I think I've watched like 2 episodes, and it seemed like it could be interesting.
Isn't
But
it
there's like what,
13
like
fucking seasons or some shit?
something like that. And I was like, dude, I don't know if I can fucking commit to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun. It's fun to watch, but it does get. I'm not gonna lie. It does get into the where they've kind of forced you a little bit. You know, like the guys could like they died like 5-6 times in the whole series. So it's like you get forced into a lot of situations that eventually it's just gonna the outcomes it's gonna be, but it's the journey that we all watch it for. So I mean, it's definitely a fun show to watch.
15 seasons.
Oh, I really enjoyed it.
Kardashian.
How many seasons was Battlestar
Well, it's like
Galactica? Yeah, it's Kardashian.
Which one?
7?
The reboot? It's like
I might be wrong.
4.5.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny though? But the seasons back then were like longer. It was like 20 or 30
that
episodes.
season-
Now they're like
yeah.
10.
Yeah.
Well, the fun thing
Well-
about Supernatural is it's kind of like the X-Files meets Ghost Hunters, which meets Vampire Hunters. It's just fun. It's like kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
When you watch that, it's,
Speaking of X-Files, have any of you guys watched that Project Blue Book show?
No, not
The-
yet.
No,
the
haven't
new
watched
one?
it.
It's fucking good. It's really good. You guys should watch
I'll
it.
wait until there's 3 seasons.
Oh, fuck that shit.
I can't commit to something that is one and done. There's so many one and dones, and I know what you're saying about the single seasoners, but most of them aren't structured that way. Most of them leave you hanging. That's the whole point. But Netflix, by the way, I highly recommend a podcast. What's it called? Monster. There's a podcast out there. The season 1 was about Amazon and season 2 was about Netflix. I thought the word monster was in there, but it's not coming up. But it's about these captains of industry, of media, and how they change the world. And it goes into like how Blockbuster, the Netflix one goes from Blockbuster into the streaming world, and some of the cutthroat nature of Blockbuster CEO versus Netflix's CEO. But it also gets into the strange way that Netflix handles its ratings and its share, like its market share, concerning how much money anything makes. They don't, unlike every other public company, they don't really announce these numbers, and everyone's like, that's kind of odd. They just cancel the shit that doesn't do well, and they keep the shit that's doing well going. They don't tell you numbers. They don't tell you ratings. They don't give you any of that information. Not publicly anyway. And people have done a lot of work to find that out. They're fascinating podcasts. I'm sorry, I'm not able to come up with it on my Google searches, but if you look into
Well,
it,
it makes sense on their servers. It just ping, like, if, how many downloads you get, that's how many, views you would get. And between, subscription based, money and then ad revenue. I mean, Jesus, it's crazy how much money those people make. And it's kind of fascinating the way you said that, though, about whole blockbusters and how we evolved to digital. That's pretty crazy.
Well, they talk about, it's really interesting because they talk about how Blockbuster saw this all coming, and so they got in, when Netflix was just doing the mail order thing. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Blockbuster tried that themselves. Do you remember that?
Even Walmart, I think, did that at one point.
It seems so easy, and yet Netflix, so much about the success of Netflix, much like the success of Amazon, is about just being slightly ahead of everybody else. And
it's wild to think that streaming was not a thing not so long ago. Like now it's everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am going to be streaming the NFL, like.
Well, it was laughed at when it first came out. It was laughed at because, I mean, back in the day when we had analog, you would go to a mom and pop store and you would pay you'd probably pay like $2.50 even back in the 80s just to rent like Aliens, on a VHS. Take it home, you had it for a week, you had to bring it back, and you had late fees if you didn't have it back in time. And it was an amount, a lot of money.
Fees. Late fees.
Not to mention
late fees.
Mention streaming. Like, I mean, we didn't even have just think about that. We didn't even have the phones that we're using, like the cell phone technology, apps, and all that shit. That didn't even it existed barely in 2007. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not that long ago at all. 13 years? What the fuck?
By the way, I got it. It's Land of the Giants. I don't know why I was thinking monsters. Land of the Giants, there's 2 seasons. One of them is Netflix and one of them is Amazon. I highly recommend them. They're very well researched and I think fair. I don't think they're hit pieces. I don't think they're political. I think it's just an honest portrait of the good, the bad, and the ugly concerning these 2 entities and the fascinating history of how each one of them completely changed life on this planet forever. However long they last and wherever we go as a species, there's no question that life after these 2 companies is completely different than what it was before. And not just with
what I was going to say is it had a culture of it. When you'd go to Blockbuster and you'd go and you'd like, hey, it's the weekend, and you hang out with your friends, get your girl,
that shit, man.
Walk down the aisle.
There's no way to do that virtually. There's no way to do that. It's not the same thing. I mean, I guess technically, when you go to Netflix and you hit browse and you're just like looking through shit, that's as close as we can get, but it's not the same.
It's a terrible experience to browse like that. Have you noticed that?
There's way too many choices. Like,
oh my God, you're absolutely right. Just like,
do you remember going? I don't know if any of you guys ever went to Scarecrow Video in Seattle.
Yeah, which is still there, amazingly.
Yeah, but if you you would go in there and you'd be kind of like you would kind of know, like, well, I want to watch a movie. Like you kind of have an idea. Like, I think maybe I want to watch an action film or a horror movie.
You
got
an idea of genre.
You kind of have an idea. So you'd go to that section. So your choices then were limited to what they had in that section. But they had a really good selection. But it wasn't like just 5 billion fucking things. You're just like I you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you could, and they were curated.
But the other
by
thing
people
was,
that also like enjoyed film.
Yeah,
so
you could talk to people.
Idea,
like what do you like?
Exactly.
Oh, I gotta show you. If you like Clerks, oh, you gotta see this. That's how I discovered all sorts of weird fucking indie shit from the 90s. But the other thing about it was
trolls on the internet.
You had to take it home and put it in the tape deck. Yeah, you could stop watching it halfway through or 10 minutes in, but you were more likely to discover something that way. Now you can just hit play, and if it doesn't grip you in 3 minutes, you could be on to the next thing. And we just, it's reprogram, going all the way back full circle, I guess. It's funny how often that happens on this podcast accidentally. Going back to social media where it's like, or social networking, where it's a reprogramming what we expect and what we want and how we act. And we were more patient and more forgiving back in the day. Not that we couldn't put a movie in the VHS deck and say, wow, this is a steaming pile of shit. I'm pissed that I spent $3 on renting this. But that could turn into The Room, right? Or
Right.
that's how cult movies were born. Now everything is just like, we have access to everything, and everything is just slightly less special. And I do miss a lot of the aspects of going to the video store. Another thing that pops up on the recent episode of the How Bizarre News Desk. Check that out, Facebook, and the How Bizarre Facebook or the Comet Magazine Facebook, either or. And if you are digging it, put a couple coffers or a couple coins into the coffers, as they say, because we need some. This stuff is starting to pile up in terms of workload. It's a lot of editing, a lot of graphics, a lot of video to chop up, put out, spit out, sponsoring ads to make sure that people are seeing it. So if you got a couple nickels, toss our way. PayPal.me/thecometmag if you want an ongoing relationship with us. Steady, but we have no expectations, and you're free to do whatever you want. We're the easy girlfriend, if you will. You can do that at patreon.com/talesfromthespacepod. But check out that video. You can see, I don't show my VHS collection. It's funny. I forgot about it when Christopher asked me.
I love the other one you did, though. Yeah, that's so funny to me. It's quintessential Ron for me. I don't know.
Well, it is. But like I said, the last VHS I bought was probably close to 10 years ago versus the last record, which was like 3 days before we had that conversation. And all of those tapes,
like 5 days ago for me.
all of those tapes went up on the wall. And they just kind of became the wall when my last VCR broke. I finally got a working one again. But it'll all tie into what we're doing with the Halloween burlesque show, which I'll talk more about on the podcast as we get closer to it. But until then, let's get on out of here, shall we? radarstationart@gmail.com if you want to send a random show note or message us on Facebook. Suggestions for topics or stories about spooky things going on in your spooky life. Or if you want to contribute to Christopher's news quiz or the news desk, you can send him and him only an email at christopher.bizarre@gmail.com. Is that right?
That's correct. Ding ding. First thing you got correct all night, Ron.
First thing I got correct.
Snap.
Snappity snap on snap.
I just get bitter when I lose your fucking quizzes.
You only
It's
lost
real
by
hard.
one. Be proud.
No,
You got
John Mark
half
is a beast.
of 11.
One point.
You got half of 11.
I don't think I would have
Man.
done any better. Probably worse. I mean, I brought these were all common animals. I probably should have said that to begin with. These were all common. Well, I guess you had the multiple choice. Anyway, but they were sounds I hadn't heard from some of these animals. I think I might do this again, but I've got a different slant on it for next time. But I've said too much. Tune in next week, 9/11, and paypal.me/thecometmag. We could use your support. And comment, share, and like. Christopher and I have been talking about this behind the scenes. Some of the stuff we are putting up is getting thousands, in some cases, tens of thousands of views and or plays. And it could have like 4 thumbs up on Facebook. I'm confused by that.
It's so weird.
If you have any feedback at all, it's really encouraging. I would say even more encouraging than putting in a few bucks. No, a few bucks is great because some of us are living on unemployment right now. But your comments go a long way. Just let us know you're listening, what you like, what you don't like, suggestions, just feedback. So many of you are listening and you've never said a word. Say something. Give us a thumbs up. Share it. Tell your friends. Yeah, it's an easy way to help support the program without costing a dime. Other than that, we'll see y'all next week, 9/11. I'm almost certain.
Bye, guys.
Be kind and rewind.
Be kind. Rewind.
sea monster.